in support to UN Ocean Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. So we have now actually we chair this session on Africa. It's a very important meeting. So please, Vincent, can you share the program, please, the agenda of today? We have imminent intervention for this evening or this afternoon. So we have a presentation on Ocean Prediction DCC on the context of the decade. Will be presented by Alison, Clausen, maybe by video. The Ocean Decade Africa Roadmap presented by Professor Affian, Kouadio, who is the chair of IOC Africa. We will have a presentation video from about introduction to Ocean Prediction DCC. We will have the presentation on Ocean Prediction DCC regional teams by Professor Enrique, who is technical coordinator of DCC. We will have also perspective on ocean literacy capacity development by Romane Zufic from Mercator Ocean International, and Ocean Prediction DCC Community Building Tools by Siva from KAUST Saudi Arabia. So this is the first session. We will have a break, and after we continue on another session about implementing the Ocean Prediction DCC team for Africa. It will be chaired by Enrique, and we have two presentations on there, and after interactive session and open discussion. So this session and the two sessions are recorded, and I will ask if you have to the audience, if you have any question, please you can share it by discussion in the chat, and of course you present yourself and maybe to address your question on the text for the person towards who the question is directed, and of course we continue the session. So please, Vincent, can you please have the first presentation? It's from Alison. It is a recorded video, and if you can please share it, please. Thank you very much.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alison Clausen. I'm a program specialist at the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, and I'm also the deputy coordinator of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. And I'm thrilled to welcome you all here today for this regional meeting for the Decade Collaborative Center for Ocean Prediction, which is so generously hosted and supported by Mercator Ocean International. I just wanted to give a few opening words about the decade as a start, where it came from, why we've embarked on this adventure, but also really the importance of ocean prediction and the particular importance of this Decade Collaborative Center within the decade. So the Ocean Decade, as we fondly call it, was really born out of the fact that ocean science and ocean knowledge are central to so many facets of sustainable development. If we're thinking about food security, if we're thinking about education, resilient cities, if we're thinking about renewable energy, ocean science and knowledge is needed for all of these facets of sustainable development. And the decade, which started in 2021, is now entering its third year of implementation. And I think this centrality of ocean science and the need for relevant and timely science and knowledge on the ocean is really greater than ever. But the opportunities are also greater than ever. You know, last year it was called the Super Year of the Ocean. There were numerous global conferences and meetings and convenings. This year, there have been incredible advances in terms of new agreements and advances on the negotiation of a treaty around plastic pollution, around biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. And there's, I think, a really strong and growing awareness of the importance of the ocean for climate, for biodiversity action, and for human health and well-being. The work of the high-level panel for a sustainable ocean economy has really encouraged governments and other partners around the world to really start acting and develop tangible and actionable commitments and engagements to sustainably manage the ocean. So the Ocean Decade is part of all of this. It's part of these opportunities. It's really a rapidly growing global movement that's playing an increasingly important role as the engine of ocean science and ocean knowledge to feed these initiatives. For those of you who know it, I'm sure many of you do, the vision statement of the Ocean Decade is the science we need for the ocean we want. And the decade is structured around 10 Ocean Decade challenges, which range from marine pollution to ecosystems, to the ocean climate nexus, to sustainable blue food, but which importantly also look at some of the key pieces of infrastructure, the Ocean Observations Network, looking at digital infrastructure, the pieces that we need to be able to meet some of these big challenges. And of course, ocean prediction is really central to all of this. The Ocean Decade has grown rapidly since it started, which, as I said, was in 2021, and it's really been wonderful here at the IOC of UNESCO, which leads coordination of the decade, to see that growing momentum. There are now 48 global programs. We just had our 48th program endorsed. They're working across all 10 decade challenges across all ocean basins. But there are still notable geographical gaps in leadership. There are challenges in getting skills, access to partnerships, access to data, access to technology in least developed countries and small island developing states. And that's why, one of the reasons why we applaud this initiative of Mercator through the Decade Collaborative Centre to set up these regional hubs, because it's so important to be able to translate the global ambition of the Ocean Decade to the regional level and start filling some of these geographical gaps that we're seeing in the decade ecosystem. So these 48 programs, we also have close to 300 projects now. And if we're going to achieve the stated aim and vision of the decade to have the ocean we want by 2030, we're going to need massive amounts of coordination to ensure that we really are having a collective impact. And from the outset, the Ocean Decade was structured within UNESCO to have a very light and central coordination structure, but the aim was really to rely on partners with deep thematic and regional expertise and networks to take the decade to a level where impact could be achieved. And Mercator Ocean International was one of the first partners to really rise to this challenge via the establishment of the OceanPrediction Decade Collaborative Centre. And I think it's fair to say that Mercator has really become a model for others to follow through the innovative approaches that they're using to regional engagement, community creation, knowledge sharing, catalysts of partnerships. And IOC UNESCO and the Decade Coordination Unit sincerely thanks Pierre, Enrique, and the whole team for their leadership and engagement in this regard. Now, Mercator is not alone. Other Decade Collaborative Centres, Decade Coordination Offices have been emerging. We now have Decade Coordination Offices focusing on ocean observing and data sharing, and both of these are actually housed within UNESCO itself. And so in this way, the Ocean Prediction DCC of Mercator is really able to play an even stronger and more impactful role by working with these other Decade Coordination Offices along the whole ocean science value chain. 2024 is going to be a critical year for the decade. It's going to come fast. We're already very, very close to midway through 2023. The 2024 Ocean Decade Conference is going to be a seminal moment for the decade. It's going to take place in Barcelona in April, from the 10th to 12th of April 2024. Pre-registration has opened, as has the call for satellite events. So have a look at the Ocean Decade website and find out more. And that Ocean Decade Conference, of course, is going to be an essential part of the preparation for the 2025 United Nations Ocean Conference. With the support of Mercator, the DCC and other partners, we hope that the ocean forecasting and prediction community is going to be able to really seize these opportunities, these events, these major global convenings that are coming up, to grow and to continue to catalyze new and innovative partnerships and sustainable development solutions. So having these discussions like today at the regional level is going to really ensure the relevance, the uptake of the results. And this meeting is so important. I wish you all wonderful discussions. I wish I could be there with you in person, but unfortunately I'm I'm traveling and I'm committed elsewhere, but I really look forward to continuing to collaborate in the framework of the decade with the team at Mercator, with the Decade Collaborative Centre, and with all of you to collectively achieve the vision of the Ocean Decade for the ocean we want by 2030. Thank you very much.
Okay. Unfortunately, Alison is not with us in presence here. So this is a clear message from Decade Ocean Unit about DCC. And I will ask to the audience, please, you can use the Q&A. If you have any question, please, you can send your question on the chat. Thank you. So we continue. The next presentation is concerning the Ocean Decade Africa Roadmap by Professor Kouadio Affian. And I will check. Yes, Kouadio is here. Can you hear me, Professor, please?
Perfectly.
Okay, merci. So please, donc Kouadio is the chair of IOC Africa, is the chair of GOOS Africa, and is the chair also of DCC for Africa. So please, Kouadio, you have the chair. Do you have the floors, please? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Karim, for this kind of presentation. Sometimes when you are presented like this, you are confused because you don't know exactly if you are the person who you are speaking. So thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here this morning and to have a clear view of these important things we're going to run right now. So I sent my presentation to Enrique. I don't know if he got it, but if not, I try to open it here. Let me.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Vous avez dans le menu en bas partager l'écran en vert.
Yeah. What I try to do now. OceanPredict map. It takes time to open, but I think that will succeed. Don't worry about it. It's coming. I don't know. Yeah, it's open. And right now, let me come back.
I will ask maybe Vincent, you can, you have a copy, a presentation, you can share it?
I don't see it.
Can I help you, Kouadio?
Yes.
I will speak
yes,
in French.
I see.
I will speak in French.
Do you see my screen?
Not yet.
Non, on n'arrive pas à le voir.
Yet.
Donc, oui, si.
Alors, ce qu'on va faire.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Ce qu'on va faire, si vous le permettez, si on a ce petit problème de connexion, on revient vers vous. Vincent, est-ce que vous arrivez à la...
Wait,
voilà, très bien.
One sec. Yeah.
C'est bon, c'est bon.
Et en
bon,
diaporama, vous mettez diaporama.
OK.
Diaporama.
OK, thank you. Let me...
Voilà, parfait.
It's OK?
Très bien.
Après,
Okay.
vous avez paramètres d'affichage en haut. Paramètres d'affichage en haut, au milieu.
Paramètres d'affichage.
Un peu à gauche.
I don't see it.
C'est vers le haut. C'est l'écran vers le haut. Donc, il y a paramètres d'affichage en haut.
Mais vous voyez mon écran là?
Oui, mais on voit les notes. On voit les notes. Donc, il faut appuyer sur paramètres d'affichage, qui est juste à côté, en haut, là. En haut, paramètres d'affichage.
Vous voyez mon curseur?
Voilà, un peu à droite. Un peu à droite, il y a paramètres d'affichage.
C'est au milieu.
Au milieu.
Peut-être qu'il n'arrive pas à voir.
Non, je ne vois pas.
Très bien. Je pense qu'on peut. Bon, si vous arrivez à résoudre ce problème, ça va. Sinon, on peut continuer. Il n'y a pas de souci.
Non,
Ben,
non, mais ça ne me dérange pas de.
Vous voyez vos notes? Vous voyez vos notes, monsieur Affian?
Oui, oui, je vois les notes, mais ce n'est pas grave.
Alors, juste au-dessus, il y a paramètres d'affichage, à côté de fin de diaporama, là, juste au-dessus de votre première slide.
Au-dessus du premier stade.
Vous avez paramètres d'affichage.
Est-ce que vous arrivez à voir le menu?
Le menu de.
Alors, ce qu'on va faire, c'est qu'on va envoyer la vidéo de Pierre
Le
Bahurel.
paramètre d'affichage, c'est au-dessus du slide, au fait, au milieu.
Oh, I don't see it. Affiché, OK.
À droite,
Au fait, au milieu. Oui,
droite.
effectivement, les notes, mais on peut continuer.
Voilà.
Voilà.
Et basculer. Voilà. Cliquez sur basculer.
C'est bon?
And you
Voilà.
can begin. Perfect.
Très bien.
Thank you.
Allez-y. On peut
Okay,
commencer.
thank you very much. Yeah, I think that we have succeeded. And let me thank Enrique for joining us to this event, which is very important for us. What I would like to do now is to explain the reason why this presentation is relevant for our session this morning. My presentation has two objectives. Number one is to demonstrate that there is now a general framework for cooperation in the field of oceanography in Africa. That is the first objective. The second objective is to show that the goals pursued by the Ocean Prediction Decade Cooperative Center are aligned with the roadmap of Africa to implement the UN Decade of Ocean Research for Sustainable Development. So you will see that the roadmap of Africa is not a mere collection of proposals. It is an inclusive approach that has gone through several stages, starting with a gap analysis conducted by experienced African experts recognized as unquestionable scientists. Then this discussion was opened up to international experts and organizations with interest in oceanography. Subsequently, a review of the proposal was carried out with the officers of Africa or of IC Africa, which I share, of course, that Karim said, to ensure that the proposal made are in line with African initiative implemented at the African Union level. And finally, it was submitted to the countries for adoption. So you know that you see that this is a broad approach to make sure that what we propose is the concern of all African countries. So let me recall just some few generality to show you the focus areas of IES Africa. So when we see closely what we are doing in Africa, it's turned around 3 points: ocean observation and data and information management, ocean science and its application to management, and of course, capacity development for marine science and technology and science literacy. So when we try to see all these items, we realize that there are several subtopics which are in line with the objective of the Ocean Prediction Decade Collaborative Center. So when we're talking about oceanographic expedition, coastal observation platform, climate variability of climate change, all these issues, as well as modeling and forecast of ocean states and capacity development, all these areas are covered by the Ocean Prediction Decade Collaborative Center. So when we move forward, we also realize that this ocean decade is very important for Africa. One, because coastal and ocean waters in Africa are increasingly gaining importance as a potential source for economic growth and employment. And as I said, this roadmap has clear links and synergies with other regional frameworks run at African level. That is the case of the Decade of African Sea and Ocean, 2015 to 2025, as well as the African Union Agenda 2063, and also Africa's Integrated Maritime Strategy 2050, and also, of course, the African Blue Economic Strategy, which starts in 2019. So when we did all these activities, as I said, we try to see the identification of priority gaps and needs. So as Alison said, when we see the ocean decade, we try to fit the scope of challenges relevant to Africa to each ocean decade challenge. So when we move through all the decade, the ocean decade challenge, we find out all these activities which are relevant for Africa. For time saving, I'm not going to go through all these things, but the one thing I want you to know is that we try to fit each time what we need to the decade challenge, and there are 10 challenges, as Alison said earlier. So when we move on, we anytime see the scope that we pursue around Africa. So all this, till the 10 challenges, we underline the scope that we pursue in Africa. So at the end of all this process, we achieve 9 priorities for future decade action. So everything now we need to do need to fall within the 9 priorities, which are sustainable ocean management in Africa, 2, ocean and human health in Africa, 3, unlocking the blue carbon potential of Africa, 4, the fisherland IUU in Africa, 5, strengthening multi-hazard early warning system and community resilience. That is very, very much, very fit to what we are doing now. And the number 6 is ocean observation and forecasting system for Africa. That is also one key area that will be taken on board with Ocean Prediction Decade Collaborative Center. Number 5, it will be digital win for Africa, establishing an African Ocean Knowledge Hub. Then 8, strengthening capacities and skills of African area carrier ocean professionals. That is also one priority for me, which is very relevant for what we're talking about now. and the 9 will be the regional ocean literacy program for Africa. So having said that, we ensure each other that we are fully engaged in all activities we deal with ocean in Africa, and we are willing to be to be very committed to all these activities which will be run so far. So, dear colleague, these are all the presentation I would like to share with you. And if there is any question, I'm ready to answer to it. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Professor Affian, for this excellent presentation, clear presentation about the orientation of the African roadmap regarding to the ocean decade for Africa, and clearly the objective regarding to our program about DCC. So thank you again, and please, can you stop your sharing, please, Professor Affian? Thank you. We move to the next video about introduction to Ocean Prediction DCC, will be presented by Pierre Bahurel from Mercator Ocean. So please, Vincent, can you please share this video? Thank you.
Dear colleagues, dear friends of Ocean Prediction, I am Pierre Bahurel. I'm the Director General of Mercator Ocean International, which is the organization that has been entrusted by IOC UNESCO for the implementation of Ocean Prediction DCC. I'm fully convinced that this is timely, this is necessary to deliver as one community, worldwide community for ocean prediction. And we were ready with Enrique Alvarez Fanjul, the technical coordinator of the DCC, to fight for this, to work with you. But we were not prepared to receive such a response from you, from the community, about the appetite for doing more. So yes, we will do that. I have the feeling, and more than that, that there is something happening in our community of ocean prediction. Political leaders, they have decisions to make for the ocean, and they turn to us. They are looking for the data, they are looking for evidence, they are looking for this digital oceanography, the modeling, the prediction, to explain more. And we are there, and we are ready to deliver. And we are more impactful than we think, and more organized than they think. So this is exactly what this Ocean Prediction DCC is about. Organize our community, make it clear, visible, and impactful, and be ready to deliver as one at the end of the decade. But we will do more, and every year we will deliver, and we can trust Enrique for this, to steer our group to really deliver. And this year we want to deliver two things: a map and a plan. A map to put each of us on the map and be able to identify who is where and what are the best practices for your region, to share them with the other region. And the plan to explain what we want to do all together, the standards, the technical background that we want to share, and how we will deliver as a community. A map and a plan. And something which is very important is that this Ocean Prediction DCC is a collaborative center. It means that this is a bottom-up approach. We will work from the programs of the UNDK, this fantastic momentum that has been creating with programs that are gathering the projects and the actions. So we will play with the program leaders and the teams to identify what is mature to organize this community. And we will play with the regions, with your region, because we do believe that the best experts in your area are you. So we want to understand from your region what can be shared with the others, how we can work together to deliver as one in this Ocean Prediction DCC. So I wish you the very best for this meeting, and trust Enrique for the rest of the meeting. Thank you very much.
You're muted, Karim. Karim, you're muted.
Thank you very much, Pierre. This is a clear message from the General Director of Mercator about Ocean Prediction DCC. And I would like to congratulate all DCC teams, Enrique and all the teams, and Pierre for this excellent program for Africa. So please, let's move to the other presentation. Should be presented by Enrique about the Ocean Prediction DCC regional teams. So please, Enrique, you have the floor. And I will ask to the participants, to the audience, to send, please, their question if they have anyone. Thank you.
So thank you, Karim. Thank you, all of you, thank you, Professor Affian, for your presentation. Alison, Pierre, thank you very much. I see we are 53 persons now listening. This again demonstrates the interest on the concept on the Ocean Prediction DCC, and in particular in Africa. So I will share now a screen and tell you a little bit about Ocean Prediction DCC, what we are trying to do in general. So following what Alison says, I would like to start explaining a little bit the frame where Ocean Prediction DCC is located in the framework of the decade. So this slide is basically my interpretation of the decade framework, and it is a simplified interpretation of that. So basically, we have two big blocks here. One is the one related to governance and coordination, and the other one is the one related with the programs, with the developments. So in this governance and coordination framework, we have the decade coordination unit where Alison is working. You have heard sorry?
We don't see your screen. No.
Okay. I don't know why. I will start again.
Okay.
It's now okay?
Yeah, presentation
okay.
mode.
Sorry about that. So
Excellent.
I was saying that you have these two big blocks. One is about governance and coordination, and the other one is about the programs. Here you have the decade coordination unit where Alison is working, and where she offered her view from the decade coordination unit. This is where the direction of the decade is. And then we have this layer, which is about collaboration, monitoring, and coordination. And here's where we can find Ocean Prediction DCC and other relevant DCCs and DCOs, like the one on observation or the one on data sharing, which are quite relevant for the work of Ocean Prediction. And this is interfacing with the different programs you are familiar with, programs like Foresee, DITO, James Ocean, or KAUST Predict. And the idea is that thanks to the collaboration work, to the monitoring and coordination work of this layer formed by the DCCs and the DCOs, basically the DCCs and the DCOs are very much the same theme for the sake of this presentation. So thanks to this collaboration layer, the outcome of these projects will at the end be integrated, will be coordinated, and will be more meaningful, and will survive the decade, which is the important thing. The idea is to develop something that will go beyond the decade. So once you have the idea of where we are, then I will explain what is our particular vision from Ocean Prediction DCC. The idea that we have is that we want to do a fundamental transformation, change paradigm on the scenario for ocean forecasting in the world. So this is the ocean forecasting we have today. This is we are proud of the systems because we have been working for 20 years in the systems, and they are useful, but we have to admit they are somehow limited, and they are somehow disconnected between themselves. And they are also very difficult to implement and to sustain. So therefore, it's very difficult to implement those systems and to maintain those systems in the countries that are technologically less advanced. And we want to do this change of paradigm, and we want to finish by 2030 in this situation where we have a connected community and connected systems, both the people and the systems connected, and we will have more easy to implement and more robust systems. So the fact that they will be more easy to implement will mean that at the end of the day, we will have many more robust systems worldwide. So to achieve this fundamental transformation, we have the Ocean Prediction DCC vessel. The captain is the UN Ocean Decade. In this analogy, the power of action will be on the decade's actions and the digital twin. That's the genes of this transformation. Who is going to be with us during the road will be the Ocean Prediction DCC community. This is why we are mounting these regional teams. This is why we are trusting in you. And then we have Ocean Prediction DCC that will be the ones setting the course, saying we have to go from here to here and we have to do it in that and that way. So for doing this ambitious transformation, we have two pillars. First and most important is the regional teams, because this is the backbone of our community. We are going to build a transversal community that is going to promote the implementation and use of ocean forecasting systems worldwide. We are organizing this community through these regional teams. We are today dealing with the Africa team, which is region number 3. And once all these teams will be in position, this will be our boots on the ground for working with the actual problems. First of all, to identify and attract this wide community. We want to go beyond our usual community. We want to include scientists, but not only users, private sector, non-governmental organizations, all the ocean forecasting value chain. We want, of course, to support decade action related to ocean forecasting because this is on our DNA. We want to work on the identification of gaps and ways forward. For that, consider that we are taking best of both worlds, of unite regional seas and good regional alliances, and we are integrating all this know-how into the regional teams. We will work, of course, for capacity building because it's critical for achieving these objectives, and we will advocate for the implementation of best practices, standards, and tools. Which ones? The ones we are going to recommend in our pillar number 2 that I will show soon. So how are we dealing with this structure? We are starting from a very good situation because the kickoff meeting created a lot of interest. We have 1,700 people registered for this kickoff meeting. So we have a large database of people to work with. And this is the situation on the different regional teams. You can see here the different steps towards, let's say, full configuration. Once we have all these with these hand icons on black completed, we will have the regional teams ready to operate. So we are advancing fast in Asia, we are advancing very fast in Africa and other regions a little bit more slowly. The objective is to have this completed by the end of the year. And this is the different steps we have to accomplish. To have the chairs, to have a contribution to the technical teams, to have the terms of reference agreed, to have a kickoff meeting. This is today, so this is why we have this here. And the steering, as you will see, this is now in progress in Africa. So very good pace, very good interest, very good. So Africa is ahead of really most of the regions, which makes me feel very, very happy to announce here. The second pillar, the one I was mentioning, is the technical pillar. And what we want here is to mitigate this, I will go a little bit faster on this one, these technical limitations that we have. As I mentioned, the systems are technically disconnected. This means that if you are going to develop, you should know by experience, if you are going to develop a new system, you basically are very isolated at the beginning. You need a lot of reading, you need a lot of studying, you don't have a good set of tools, standards, and best practices to develop. You basically have to start from scratch. And if you are smart enough, and if you are, let's say, if you to succeed and complete one of the development of these systems, your problems are not ending there, because during exploitation, you don't have any possibility to use common tools for validation, dissemination, and exploitation. So we have here the decade as our opportunity, together with the arrival of the concept of the digital twin. If we put these two game changers together, we have an opportunity to change this scenario. So the first thing we are doing towards a solution is working in what we have called the Ocean Forecasting Co-Design Team. This is a team of experts. We are 40 experts from all around the globe, including Africa, and we are working actively at this moment in the design of a new architecture that will be comprised of standards, tools, and best practices in cooperation with related decade programs such as FORSI or best practices. So the idea is that once we define this architecture, we hope that it will be first version ready by the end of this year. The results will serve to inspire the decade program development targets. That's the idea, that we deliver this architecture as a vision, and then the decade programs will be able to implement some of these elements that we will design. So as conclusions, the Ocean Prediction DCC will be a key element for the ocean prediction we need. We are building based on an active community of users, scientists, and policymakers. The meeting today is a good example, organized in regional teams. We are taking advantage of the decade framework and of the arrival of the digital twin of the ocean to join and deliver together worldwide. That's the idea, that's the concept, and that's what we are looking for. So if we succeed, even if we only succeed partially, we will end with a better connected community, new operational forecasting services, and a technological linked worldwide ocean forecasting framework. It's certainly a significant challenge, and only possible with collaboration with all of you, with the regional teams, with the decade programs, and other relevant actors. So to finish, I would like to remind you our motto, which is connecting the world around ocean prediction. And I'm sure that after this presentation, you will understand much better this motto. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Enrique, for this excellent and nice presentation about what we need for the DCC regional teams, and we appreciate a lot the image that you have about the Ocean Prediction DCC vessel. The captain, the chief engineer, the crew, the navigator. I see some question. Maybe we can take it at the end of the session because particularly one or two questions. So we are very late for the timing. So we continue the presentation with about the plans for capacity development and ocean literacy activities presented by Romane Zufic from Mercator Ocean. So please, Romane, you have the floor.
Thank you, Karim. I hope you can hear me well.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to meet you and join you here today. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so I'm working with Enrique on the Decade Collaborative Center, and particularly on the ocean literacy and capacity development perspectives. So I'm going to explain you the process of how we are studying these actions. So first of all, we had to define our concepts. So what do we mean by capacity development? And for this, we took the UN definition, which is the process whereby people, organization, and society as a whole unleash, threaten, create, adapt, and maintain capacity over time in order to achieve development results. On the other hand, ocean literacy can be defined as an understanding of the influence on you and your own influence on the ocean. And this is the IOC's definition of ocean literacy. And what is important is why here, for ocean prediction, we are addressing this concept together. And we are doing this because in our understanding, they are really interdependent because they are focusing on one overarching objectives, which is bridging the knowledge gaps. And for this, you can say that ocean literacy is focused on knowledge and on the know-why, while capacity development is more about skills and about the know-how. Yet, it's still very broad, and this can lead to an infinite potential objectives, and we had to be more selective and to be more precise. And for this, it appeared important to focus on the ocean prediction vision, which is to foster an ocean science to service approach to develop powerful ocean prediction capacity around the world for a sustainable ocean. And for this, our definition of ocean literacy is really focused on bridging the knowledge gaps between science and policy. It's also about informing policymakers and supports overall decision-making for a more resilient ocean. And then on the other hand, if you take capacity development, our objective here with Ocean Prediction is really to support the worldwide implementation of the ocean forecasting architecture that will be co-designed by the ocean prediction experts. So now that we have the definition, how do we get there? So we define this process and methodology, and for this year, we will only focus on the 3 main steps, which is rebuilding our roadmap. So first step is really to engage the stakeholders. So it's about meeting you all here, knowing who is there, who is willing to join us on board. Step 2 is assess the assets and the need, what exists, what is needed. Then about designing the solution, and this is why for the end of the year, we intend to build a full roadmap with the solution to be developed. And then from the coming years after, we will focus on implementing the solution, developing the projects that we had thought of, and then evaluate the solution and the outcome along the way, and particularly also at the end of the process. And throughout the entire process, we really want to focus on having a boots on the ground approach, if we can say, which is really why the role of the steering team of each regional team is really important to help us having knowledge on the regional level. And for this is really crucial to be effective and to be also relevant for the local scale. So if we focus a bit more on the plan of this year, as I said, we aim to build this roadmap by the end of the year to be implemented starting from 2024 onwards. And for this, we have 3 steps. So mapping the landscape, then identifying the gaps, and defining our priorities. And for these 3 steps, we have key consideration in mind. First, as I said again, a strong emphasis on the regional specificity, which is why we need you, because we need these boots on the ground approach to understand that each region is different, has its own challenge, has its own needs, its own stakeholders, and we really count on you to help us understanding this difference and again be relevant. We also need your help for the dissemination of the surveys, for example, and to really reach the people that we aim to, because you know the landscape really well more than us. And then also we are dealing this year with budget uncertainty, so it's important that we consider different scenarios according to the different budget that we will have the years coming. And then if we focus on more what is coming later, so of course it's a draft because we will build this plan this year, but we already know a few things. First of all, that we will build all the capacity development activities with the ETUV guide, which is really the backbone of our activities, because it's detailing everything that how ocean forecasting functions. So it's really something that we must use. Then also what is important is that we will have regular meetings between the different regional team experts in ocean literacy and capacity development. So we imagine to make cross meetings. Then what is also a key element to have in mind is the roadmap will be flexible and adaptable to each regional team. And the last point is we will develop a website that I think will be presented just after this. And this website is really the place for our community to join virtually and exchange. For this, we will have a website, a forum, I mean, on the website. We'll have also some resources and event page where we can share content. And of course, the ETUV guide will also be available and will be transferred as a wiki. So we all can contribute on it together and build knowledge together. So thank you for your support. And for now, I'm almost done. But what we have to keep in mind is that we will need your input to build our plan. We aim to have this first cross meeting for ocean literacy and capacity development expert around September, maybe October. We will keep you informed about this, of course. For the steering team at large, we will need your help to distribute surveys regarding gaps and needs in ocean literacy. So be please ready to fill it and to distribute it among the networks. And again, the more participants we have, the more relevant it will be. So we really count on you on this. And then to everyone, again, we are really welcoming your inputs and ideas. And please just wait a bit more with us for the creation of the Ocean Prediction website that will be launched soon. So be ready to add yourself on the Atlas and also to start the regional team challenge and discuss within each other, and also share the website within your networks to gather the community of ocean forecasting on this platform. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a pleasant first of meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Romane, for this excellent presentation. And you give us, of course, the plans for capacity development and ocean literacy activities for the next steps. So we move to the next presentation, please, about Ocean Prediction DCC Community Building Tools by Siva Reddy. Please, Siva, the floor is yours.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Karim. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Just to put the presentation on the mode presentation, yeah, please.
Yeah. Just okay. Give me a sec. Yeah.
Siva, can you present yourself and to continue, please?
Yeah, so you can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Siva. I am from King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia. So I am mainly a ocean modeler and a data assimilation scientist here in KAUST. So here I am going to talk about the most important element in ocean prediction DCC thing is the web page, and it's a main platform to do several things, to offer several things. It's going to launch, as Romane already introduced it about. It's going to launch in a month or so. I'm going to show some of the features of this platform. There are several tools in it. There are Atlas, there is Forum. There are like the website will be used to share the news and also to share the resources, a very important important informations. And through this portal, like Ocean Predict want everyone to be involved, actively involved in the with the Ocean Predict DCC teams. So the Ocean Atlas, how does a Ocean Atlas and what is Ocean Atlas? The Ocean Atlas gives you an opportunity to know what are the operational ocean forecasting systems available all over the globe, and what are these institutions offering in terms of the forecasting services. And you would also get to know the direct person who is in charge of these operational ocean forecasting systems. Also, you would come to know about the down institutions and their services and so much of information. And this information can be very useful for a user or even for policymakers who seek information and want information about various oceans. And the platform will be a focal point for communication and matchmaking to be operated in close cooperation with 4C or Ocean Predict. And it also hosts like several announcements. It will provide, and if you want to connect to a partner through the forums, you can connect to partners, or if you want a particular service, you can also get ocean service from there. It will be a very useful platform to get all such things. And there will also be discussions very useful discussions on your particular regions as well, which enlighten and give a better knowledge about your oceans and what is the state of the present state of the ocean, what are the knowledge gaps and all that. So all this information will be there in the platform, and the platform will also be used to provide news about various aspects, various articles, various interesting things. News, there can be news from the regional teams, and there are it also wants to provide latest news about various things and special announcements like maybe future conference or any such things, or special news from decade actions. What are the latest decade actions? What are the decade action plans? All these things will be disseminated through this platform. And this platform also hosts a very nice resource for expert, E2's guide, which is expert team on operational ocean forecasting guide. This guide gives a very nice idea, a very nice introduction about the elements in the operational ocean forecasting systems. You would get a very nice knowledge about them, and also it will help to design your own operational system in a nicer, focused, nicer way. This particular document is prepared by the subject experts in that particular subject, and it will be updated once in 3 years. Yeah, so it will be a very nice resource for the beginners as well as who have already started it. So this will be a very nice resource. And the platform would also provide virtual halls to be able to interact with the service provider. Like even the service provider, they just they can interact with their customer, and then they can discuss about the services they provide through these virtual halls. For example, services about inquiries can, for example, inquiries, they can provide information about the services they provide to an interested customer, their customer or users. Yeah, so there can be very nice discussions there in the virtual halls as well. So this platform will soon be available, most likely in July or September. I think it's a nice opportunity to make use of the platform. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Siva. Excellent presentation, and you give us also what are the tools they are going to be prepared for this big program, or the already tools. Okay, thank you. So we have finished this session, and I would like. Please, we have actually 55 participants, and we have some questions. And I would like to read the questions about all the presentations. So thank you very much for all the panelists. And we have some specific questions, maybe addressed to Enrique and also the Mercator. So about just about the presentation and so on. It should be maybe, of course, shared in the website. There is some specific question about the agenda to be accessed on the agenda. Some specific questions about ocean pollutions, and mainly particularly for the project, the program. What specific question from Hassan Mustahfed and other colleagues, and the main question concerns the trainings, also the future trainings to strengthen the capacity of regional teams, and also because some participants speak about some differences between the levels of the countries, and they speak about how we can Mercator can manage this kind of difference for during the project. So let me please give a few minutes to maybe Enrique, if he has some answers on that, and before to close this session. Enrique, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, I'm trying to initiate my video, but it's blocked now, but doesn't matter. Don't unblock it, because I just want to give the floor instead of, I have replied all of the questions. If you have additional questions, please let me know. You can read all the replies there, but it will be great, since we have a interactive session, if we can show for a second the questions that we will have on the after the break. We are going to break now, and then we are going to give the floor now, I think, to Vincent, so he can explain the questions that we will have in our interactive session later on.
Okay, thank you very much, Enrique, for the clarification, and I would like to thank all the panelists.
Let Vincent please go through these questions, so in 5 seconds.
As Enrique said, so we set up an interactive session. So after a very short break, there will be 2 plenary presentations. And after the interactive session where you can have access, I gave the link on the chat. I will give it again. And so you can see the first question: which are the main applications that ocean forecasting is having today on the region? So please give your answer. You can see participants are already give answer for the first question.
Not now, later on, please.
The second question will be, which are the main gaps for ocean forecasting today in the region? The third one is, which are the activities you think OceanPrediction DCC should focus to improve the situation of ocean forecasting in the region? The fourth one, what kind of capacity development and ocean literacy activities do you believe are needed in the Africa region? And the last one will be, do you think observations from the region, if available, are sufficient to constrain the ocean models and produce accurate forecasts? If not, what kind of observation are we missing? So we are waiting for your answer during the interactive session. Maybe Enrique and Karim, we have a short 3 to 5 minute breaks before the first presentation of session 2. Is that okay for you?
Thank you, Vincent, for the clarification. Okay, so we take 5 minutes for the break, and after we continue to session 2. Thank you very much.
See you in a
thank
bit.
you. Okay, and thank you very much for all the panelists. Thank you, and all, of course, all Mercator teams, Enrique, and so on. Thank you.
See you in 4 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this Africa regional team meeting, the first meeting of the Africa regional team. On the session before the break, we have seen all what is general about OceanPrediction DCC. And now in this second, we are going to the details in Africa. And we are doing this detailed study for Africa with a presentation by Jennifer Veitch about the situation of, about mapping the situation of ocean forecasting in Africa. Jennifer is in very good condition to do this, but she's now in a much better condition because she has been working in updating all this information in the framework of the technical component of the OceanPrediction DCC, the Ocean Forecasting Co-Design team. So Jennifer, if you are already available, you can go for your presentation. Thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you. I think my video is still off. I'm not sure. It looks like I can't start it, but maybe we should go ahead anyway. Right. So thanks, Enrique. So indeed, for the last few months, I've been working on developing an understanding of the forecasting landscape in Africa for the African Regional Hub's contribution to the co-design team. So in this process, I've made some really wonderful connections, and I hope they're going to be the start of future collaborations. So the region encompassing the Africa Hub has been defined based on the Goose regional classifications, and also the merging of the four UNEP regional seas, or four of the UNEP regional seas. So for the African Regional Hub, there is some overlap with the Mediterranean and Black Sea Regional Hub, as well as the Asian Seas Regional Hub. It's a vast area, of course, that covers a wide range of marine ecosystems, from semi-enclosed seas of the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, two of the world's four major eastern boundary upwelling systems, a major western boundary upwelling system, tropical and equatorial dynamics. And the spectrum of forecasting needs and both social and ecosystem vulnerabilities are also vast in this region. So I've not managed to reach all coastal areas, but my search, my emails, and my surveys have reached some. And I'd like to thank all the people from the countries highlighted on this map who have provided me with some inputs. The darker the shade, the more input I've had. And in this respect, I'm afraid my report is going to be a little bit biased towards these regions. So operational marine services within the African regional hub depend strongly on global forecast products. So these include particularly ECM, WF, atmospheric and wave products, Mercator physics and BGC forecasts, the Indian Ocean Forecasting System provided by INRH, the Australian Bureau of Meteorology's ocean maps, and various forecast products provided by NCEP. So that's the GFS atmosphere and waves, as well as the RTOV's ocean physics. So these global forecasts are used in a number of ways. Most simply, specially compiled daily or weekly bulletins are provided to users either in a PDF or via SMS alerts. But also many regions provide or operationally disseminate visualizations for their regions using the global forecast products. Some institutes add value to the global forecast products. So here is an example from South Africa in which metrics from for the Agulhas current, its core and transport, eddies around Southern Africa, marine heat waves, SST anomalies are developed from global products and then disseminated to users. And while this is very simple, this approach has already been used in understanding the dynamics of a marine walkout event that happened quite recently. So the most advanced utilization of global forecast services is where they're used to force either regional or coastal forecast systems. And there are a few places that do this. So in my exploration of the region, I have not been able to identify that many regionally optimized forecast models, but there are a few. Of course, there is the Iberian Biscay Island forecast product. There is also a number of Mediterranean forecast products. These are all available on Copernicus Marine Services, and of course they do prove quite useful to our colleagues in North Africa. There is also Prof. Ibrahim Hotet and his team at the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia have developed a really nice ocean wave atmosphere coupled forecast system with a dedicated web server for interactive visualization of different variables, but also analytics and queries. And then the South African Weather Service has developed a wave and storm surge model, which is operational and provides information to various stakeholders. And then also to cater for the needs of various coastal activities such as fishing, mariculture, defense, tourism, ports, and others, INRH provides an integrated high-resolution ocean forecasting system for Madagascar, Seychelles, and Mozambique. So in my search, I found even fewer examples of nearshore or coastal optimized services around Africa. So this example here, I'm afraid, again, comes from my home country of South Africa. It's an operational forecast system that my team has developed. It provides base scale operational forecast systems of key locations around the South African coastline. The system provides 5-day forecasts of ocean physics with a simplified particle tracking application tied to it that allows the user to visualize the trajectory of a hypothetical oil spill that we release virtually every day. So for this, we use the Mercator forecasts at the boundaries and GFS atmospheric forcing product at the surface. This is under continual development and improvement. Another example from Mozambique, where tropical storms and flooding is a huge hazard, is a system that has been designed by Deltares in collaboration with Mozambique's Met Office. It's the National Coastal Forecasting System for Mozambique, or the FUSE INAM. It provides 3-day ocean and meteorological forecasts in the form of daily bulletins and text messages to support operations at sea. So the forecasts are provided to various users that include port authorities, fishing communities, NGOs, and consultants. So I was very excited to learn of these various forecasting activities going on in Africa. But for me, knowing how vulnerable many of the coastal communities are, for me, it is a bit frustrating that there aren't more. And in the little survey that is sent around, asking about the major challenges in providing forecast information, while internet connectivity was a problem for many, the dominant problem for most people is the fact that global models did not sufficiently capture their needs. Global forecasts weren't really suitable for their coastal applications, and they didn't have the capacity to develop something local or optimized for their region. So interrogating this further, when I particularly asked more about understanding what the challenges were for the development of their own operational forecast system, optimized for their region, the dominant response really was institutional and government support and funding. I mean, access to boundary conditions, computing resources, and human resources were important, but the dominant response was that they really needed funding and government support. And for me, this resonated with me because for decades in South Africa, there's been the will to develop an operational forecast system, but only recently, when we've had proper government support, has it come off the ground. So this really rings true for me. So there are many challenges in Africa in the provision of operational forecast services, but there is so much will to develop something. So in response to, is there an operational forecast system optimized for your region? If there wasn't something already set up, most people responded that there was either something in the works or that they wanted to, which for me was very, very encouraging. So I just want to end off this short presentation on mentioning some important regional activities that really need to be on the radar of all forecast developments in Africa. So the first is Marcosio. It's a project that encompasses Southern and Eastern Africa. It spans Angola to Kenya. It's funded through the GMES and Africa program. It aims to provide co-designed decision-making services to promote sustainable management of marine resources, improve marine governance, and simulate growth of the blue economy for the South and East African region. Marcosio makes use of global services, currently mostly Earth observations, but also moving towards marine forecasts, and that in some cases are optimized for local conditions. So strongly tied to Marcosio is the South African National Oceans and Coastal Information Management System that was developed in response to Operations Pakisa that was ratified in 2014 and highlighted the ocean's economy as a means to grow South Africa's GDP. So in response to this, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, as well as the CSIR, developed OCEANS, which is a portal that provides customized decision support tools for various stakeholders that are co-designed with them for effective and sustainable governance of South Africa's oceans. And this is really where the government support of the development of operational forecast services has been amazing for South African developments. And then the next thing that is tied to Marcosio is the Abelobi project. That is a South African-based NPO working with small-scale fishing sector. They offer fishers and fish workers access to co-designed information that includes forecasts and technologies and communications technologies that include various apps for both the fishers and the consumers. So the forecast products, they're based on Earth observations, and they're developed by the CSIR, and they're integrated into the Abelobi app for use by fishers. So then there's also, in parallel to Marcosio, there's Marcona, which is the Marine and Coastal Areas Management in North and West Africa, also funded by GMES in Africa, which has similar objectives to Marcosio. So these portals are already in place and they are fairly well established, and they really require optimized regional forecasts that can complement their existing tools that are extremely useful to stakeholders. And I guess I just want to end by saying that I really think we should endeavor to start thinking regionally rather than nationally in our operational forecasting developments. The ocean doesn't respect national boundaries, so why should we? And I think the more we work together, the further we can go. And then if I haven't heard from you, if I haven't spoken about the operational forecast activities that are happening in your region, I would love to hear from you, and please do contact me. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jennifer, for this really excellent presentation and for all the work that is behind this presentation, which is a lot of work and very well done work. And you have some questions for you on the chat. And it's very important, the last comment by Jennifer, if for any of us it's impossible to reach on the first attempt everybody. So if you feel you have additional information from other regions of Africa that should go into this study, we are on time to incorporate it. And also remember that all this will be the first step towards this atlas we want to build on the OceanPrediction DCC webpage. So all this information is very important that, for us, because we will have all the people very well located, and then it will be easier to move all this information to our tools, to our atlas. So our next presentation is by Karim. This is a very important presentation because it will explain the particularities on how we are going to implement our regional team in Africa. So I hope you can get all the names and all the structures that Karim will explain, because to achieve a good distribution, to work with Africa at the same time, but at the same time to understand the different specificities of the different regions, we have created a structure that Karim will kindly explain now. So Karim, the floor is yours now.
Yes, thank you very much, Enrique. And again, thank you a lot also for invitation. And my presentation is focusing on the implementation of the Africa regional teams, because as we have seen during the first session and in many presentations, mainly from the Africa roadmap for the decade, down by Professor Affian, the presentation down by you, Enrique, and other colleagues. It's very important, and also the last presentation from Jennifer, because it's very important about the region that we have in Africa for coastal region, a representative for Eastern Africa, Benguela and Alguera's large marine ecosystem, the Gulf of Guinea large marine ecosystem, Canary Current large marine ecosystems. Of course, we have Med Sea region and the Red Sea region. It's very important. And here we need to organize the regional teams from each region for Africa concerning observations, physics, biology, climate, digital twins, and so on that Enrique have presented. It concerns the main term of reference, the main component about regional focal points and steering team. The role of steering group is to organize the activities related to OceanPrediction DCC on the region, and to ensure the connection between different regional teams and with the technical teams that we have seen in some presentation during the session 1 about the ocean forecasting co-design team. So please, the next slide, please, Vincent. Okay, we have already, as mentioned by Enrique, we have already prepared the work for the DCC structure in Africa, mainly for the structure concerning the chair. Professor Kouadio Affian is the chair of IOC subcommission for Africa and adjacent island states from Ivory Coast. We have also designed some representative of coastal region, and the co-chair, mainly Professor Antonio Hogan from Mozambique, is the Director General of Institute of Oceanography for Eastern Africa. Dr. Jennifer Veitch from South Africa for the Benguela, LME, and Algeciras currents. Professor Kouadio Affian for the Gulf of Guinea, a large marine ecosystem, acting as a chair and also for this area. Myself as a focal point for the Canary Current large marine ecosystem. I am acting as co-chair. Professor Am Hamouda from Egypt, the president of NIOF from the Mediterranean Sea region, and Dr. Siva for the Red Sea, acting also as a co-chair. And the key partners, of course, it's the basis is on the programs that we have done, GMS, Ocean, DITO, 4C, KAUST, Predict, Ocean Best Practice, Ocean Notification. It is related to the main programs for oceans. Also, we have the centers and offices like Ocean Observing, Ocean Data Sharing, Ocean Prediction, Coastal Resilience, Indian Ocean, and so on. And of course, the support of the Decade Coordination Unit at headquarters of IOC UNESCO. Please, the next slide. So the importance of this steering team, of course, it's very important working as, and we need to have a global network of topic experts with focusing on and acting as focal points in the region for the topic, the network with other region experts, to provide new ideas for this program, to support the mapping of ocean forecasting, to support the gaps and needs detection activities, to contribute to communication and the forum, to contribute also to expand the community, to support capacity development and ocean literacy. As mentioned, Enrique, we are now in the process for the steering team. It is open to all the person who wants to be involved with us for each region, and we begin to share the information between experts, scientists, and so on. The next slide, please. This is an example of the Africa steering team. We have some person already registered, for example, ocean observing, ocean forecasting physics, ocean forecasting for geochemistry, climate, ocean health, digital ocean, and so on. This is only an example, but we are open to have more and more scientists to be involved in the Africa steering team. The next slide, please. What we planned, and Enrique speaks about it. So for the next year, so we need to have more participation on the community via the event platform. Of course, it's already begins from January to July. We plan to have first. We are organized now. Actually, this meeting as the first regional team meeting, one per region, and this is the case for Africa. And for presentation of approval of the term of reference. The migration of activity and users to OceanPrediction DCC webpage. It should be down during the next month, in July. the contribution to capacity development and gap detection plan for the next semester. It means from August to December. And of course, to try to organize the second regional team meeting, one per region. Of course, it will concerns Africa, and approval for capacity development and gap detection plans, mainly for the next year. I think it is the last slide for my presentation. And thank you very much for your attention, and thank you again, Enrique.
So thank you very much, Karim, for your excellent presentation, explaining the next steps we are going to follow and how we have organized all this. I would like to comment a little bit on this, a couple of things. First, note that we have gone for a single structure for Africa, because we believe it's very important to talk with one voice for Africa. But since there are a lot of technical diversity between the different regions, we have taken this approach of having different chairs for the different coastal areas, so we can have all the both technical and cultural diversity in consideration at the same time that we are working together. This is on one hand something I want to comment, and on the other hand, I would like to highlight the importance of the steering team, which is only one steering team for the region. We are building one steering team for the region, for the whole Africa. We have to include people from the different coastal regions in this one steering team, and this one steering team will be the one that is connecting with the other steering teams in the different regions of the world, and will be the steering team that will be the voice of the Ocean Prediction DCC in Africa, of course, working under the coordination of the chair and co-chairs of the Ocean Prediction DCC. So I hope that with these two additional comments and the excellent presentation by Karim, everything is now clear. Nevertheless, feel free to launch your questions. And again, feel free to contact the chairs and co-chairs of Africa. Now you know the names, now you know the people, to suggest your names if you feel you can contribute in one way or another to the Ocean Prediction DCC. It's very important that you volunteer if you feel you can help for the different tasks we have ahead, such as participation in the regional teams, such as supporting us with the forum on the webpage, supporting us with the organization of the news for the webpage. This webpage that we will launch will only be active if you can help us to keep it active. We will have a section for the Africa regional team in this meeting, in this webpage, and we will have many other sections, and we will certainly need your help on that. Also, with the different languages, I was asked on the questions about possibility of having different languages on the webpage. I think that we could achieve that. We have the technical structure to do it, but we need the human resources to translate all the message into different languages. So this is another point where your help, if you want to volunteer to help us, could be very, very important. So once I said that, I reminded the possibility of sending questions to Karim about the organization on the chat. And I think it's time to move to our final activity today, which is the Slido game, let's call it like that. So Vincent, if you want, we can start with the first question. You have there, you know how this works. You have to go to slido.com webpage and tape this number there that you can see, or you can use the QR code that you can see below to connect to this. So the questions are the ones that we already introduced during before the coffee break. So now it's the time for you to go inside and help us to start doing a diagnosis on the gaps that you have on the region, the needs that you have, and very especially, how do you think Ocean Prediction DCC can help in overcoming these gaps and can help in moving, as I mentioned in my presentation, from one scenario to the other one. So the first question, please, I invite you to participate in this question, in this active poll. Join Slido for that. The first question is, which are the main applications that ocean forecasting is having today on the region? This is very important to understand the impact of ocean forecasting in the region. So we see that some questions are flowing. We will give more time to this because you have to get used to use Slido. Please don't be shy and let us know your opinion about all these different questions. We can see here that by the moment, the main reply is biodiversity loss, things like corals, seagrass, this kind of biodiversity that is being lost. Then we have surveillance of coast, sea level rise, but this is linked with climatic impact. We have also related to that global warming impact, shoreline change forecasting. All these things are very much related with long-term evolution of sea level. Then we have like another family here, which is very important, which is all the things related with safety at sea. I can see, and search and rescue. We can read safety at sea. We can read safety. Oil spill movement, which is basically oil spill forecasting. We see several inputs of oil spill with different wording: oil spill, aquafish farms, oil spill movement. So obviously, oil spill is another very, very demanded application. We have again things related to dynamic risk, disaster risk reduction, like coastal community awareness, like storm searches, study of waves, things related with safety, like fisher safety, things again related with biodiversity, like fish forecast. So it's fisheries, very, very much related. So I have to say that all the names that are being dropped here are covering the well-known uses of ocean forecasting. And these are not, on my experience, very different from the ones that you will find if you do the same kind of survey, for example, at Europe. So, well, of course, mangrove reorganization, it's nothing that you will find at Europe, but for example, that can translate in other kind of vegetation maintenance, survival at Europe, like Posidonia. That will be the equivalent. So it's very nice because more and more replies are popping up. It's clear the importance of fisheries in the region because fisheries is very, very much mentioned. Fisheries industry, fisheries forecasting, fisheries ecological forecasting, fisher safety. So yeah, this is gaining more and more momentum. Also, we could relate that with marine pollution, because this is obviously linked. So still some more people is participating. Seafood forecasting is again related. Fisheries, fish forecast, I can see now. So yeah, fisheries is certainly a major use on the area, together with other more, let's say, traditional applications. Very interesting also, some, and very coincident also with our own experience at Europe, is the work near the harbors. Tide dynamics near the major harbors and ports management are two of the inputs. And we have one realistic person that well, realistic or pessimistic, we don't know. There is no operational forecasting in our area. Probably, well, we have always the global models, but probably the global models are not providing the resolution that this person demands on his region. So again, this is why it's important to simplify the elaboration of forecasting system in the different regions, so we can avoid replies like that there is no ocean forecasting in the area. That's a sad forecast, a sad reply, let's say. Storm Search is also now having several replies and it's getting larger. We are still getting some participants, so I will give a little bit more of time. When the first question is usual, while people get used to participate on the Slido, it takes more time for the first question. I hope next ones everybody will reply faster. So one more participant yet, and we are going now to move soon to next question. But in summary, we have on one hand many questions related with fisheries, many replies related with fisheries forecasting for resilience, ecological forecasting, biodiversity. Then we have another family related to disaster risk reduction, like storm surge, like ports management, like oil spill forecast. And finally, we have a third family related, let's say, with climate aspects, like global warming and sea level rise. So I think we have to move to next question. We will, of course, make available the results of all these questions after the meeting. So we have seen the applications that the systems have, but the systems have obviously limitations, have obviously gaps. So which are the main gaps for ocean forecasting today in the region? Resolution, here we go. This is very much related with what Jennifer mentioned on her presentation, that there are not many nested systems around. What is available most of the time is the global system. So seems like resolution is gaining weight. Now, local models is again linked to resolution. It's very much the same reply. I can see $. That's a very direct way to express the problem. Yeah, we got it. Financial means is a different way to express the same thing. This is a universal problem, I have to say. Local models, which is linked to resolution. Computational resources, that's an interesting one. Technical infrastructure linked to computational resources. Communication of research results to policymakers. That's a very interesting one and a very important one because we need to move our results to the policymakers in order to have more $, for our models, for our computational resources, for improving our resolution, for improving our observations. Lack of observations is also important, and again is related to in this case very directly to is very directly related to the lack of resources, because observing in the ocean is quite complicated and is quite expensive. So this is very much related. Cyber infrastructure. So again, the computational resources, or even more beyond computational resources. It could also include communication, as was mentioned by the people that was responding to Jennifer poll, that communication, even downloading the data from the global models, is sometimes a constraint. It's very demanding in terms of the current communication capabilities. So that links with cyber infrastructure. So we see also, yeah, everything goes more or less into these families, lack of money, lack of resources, that translates into a lack of resolution in the models. So there's a chain here that I can see. On one hand, we are not able to communicate research of results to policymakers. If we are not able to do that, then we don't have the dollars. And if we don't have the dollars, we don't have the cyber infrastructure, we don't have the computer resources. And that means that at the end of the day, we don't have the resolution and we don't have the models, the local models that we want. So there's a whole chain here that starts, I think, with the communication of research result to policymakers. And now is popping up another very important one that, to be honest, I was missing, which is human capacity. I think this is very important, and the human resources are the main resource for any endeavor that we are doing. And human capacity is very important. So I think it's very nice that it is also reflected here. So we have the whole gaps, I think, now, because this is why capacity development activities are so important in any region, but I think that particularly in Africa should be particularly important, given the fact that you have less infrastructure and less, let's say, tradition about these issues than in other parts of the world. So capacity development is very important. Okay, I think we got a very, very good set of replies here. We can move to next question. And the next question is, which are the activities you think OceanPrediction DCC should focus to improve the situation of ocean forecasting in the region? So this is important to us. This is important to us to understand what, after all what you have seen, after all what you have seen, what do you expect from us? Where should we focus to improve the situation of ocean forecasting in the region? Very nice start with the word collaboration in large capacity development and collaboration. Clearly, very two good replies. Jennifer was already pointing out the importance of collaboration when she was looking into the map that she has developed. She was highlighting the importance of working together in order to achieve larger things. And all this comment on collaboration goes exactly on the same direction that Jennifer was indicating. Capacity development, this is clear. Awareness and capacity building, this is a very clear message. Ocean literacy, which is somehow linked to capacity development. Working with early career ocean professional is also gaining weight. Long-term capacity building, more than 3 years. That's very interesting, because one of the challenges about capacity development is how you do something that remains in time. It's easy to develop it's relatively easy to develop some activity that can bring some light to a particular aspect. But what is very difficult is that this capacity development makes a difference. Is built in such a way that the outcome longs more than these 3 years that our friend is mentioning here. So long-term capacity building is very interesting. Collaboration with a startup, so that is also very much in the DNA of OceanPrediction DCC, because we want to close the bridge with the private sector and with the non-governmental organizations. So this fits very well also with with everything that we have said. Data management, what we can do there, I think it's more on the creation of the recommendation of creation of these tools, standards, and best practices that will certainly link with data management. This links with another comment I see now, which is best practices. Best practices and data management are very much closed, very much related. Collaboration with small and medium enterprises. Again, this is exactly what we want. We want to go out of our comfort zone. We want to, our comfort traditional zone is talking with scientists, scientists talking with scientists. We have been doing that for sufficient years. Now we have to go down to the ground and talk with companies, talk with private firms, talk with users, talk with everyone, so we can reach farther by doing that. Let me see, KAUST is gaining out of the way, which is really nice to see the interest and the importance. Okay, this is particularly important for Africa. I have to say that the population pyramid in Africa is completely different than the one, for example, in Europe. You are lucky of having much more younger people than we have. So the role of the KAUST from Africa is absolutely vital, I will say, due to this demographic structure, more vital than in any other part of the world, because Africa is basically dominated by young people. So this is very important. It's not the same case in Europe, and certainly not the same in my country, not the same in Spain, which is a country with very few young persons. So I think that this I will give you a few seconds more. Data management, networking, which is related to collaboration, modeling skills, which is related to capacity development, improve forecasting models to local realities. We are certainly want to. Oh, there's an interesting thing: international outside Africa collaboration. This is very nice because remember the steering teams will have the same structure in the different regions around the globe. So this will naturally promote collaboration outside Africa. So we will have one expert for ocean wave forecasting, for example, in Africa. Then we will have another one in Asia. We will have another one in Indian seas, and this will facilitate a lot the connection of the different regions. So I think this is time now to move to next question. One of the things that you were asking is detecting as a gap is the lack of capacity in the region. And one of the things we want to do during this year is to build an ocean literacy and capacity development plan for OceanPrediction DCC to be implemented in the following years. Romane gave a full explanation on this. We want this year to work on building the plan, and next year's, depending on the budget that we will have, that it's a little bit a mystery for us still, we will develop this activity. So now it's the time for you to help us. It's the time for you to tell us which kind of capacity development and ocean literacy activities do you believe are needed in the region? So here we have with the first answers. First one is model planning. So this is quite technical. It's going into the technical side of how to deal with the models. This is very nice. IT skills to support running the models, again on the technical side. Data analysis and modeling, more general. Data analysis and modeling is growing, so this is the hardcore technical part. And remote sensing, I guess it's about how to use this remote sensing data for exploiting this information. We have more and more technical words popping up, like satellite altimetry, which is obviously related to remote sensing. We have data simulation, which is one of the components of the modeling, a very important one, a very difficult one to deal with and to really understand the mathematics involved in data simulation. So it's not strange to me that capacity development is done. Africa-based newsletter. Please note that we will have a section on the forum that will be only for Africa. And what we need is, we are putting the infrastructure, we are doing the web page, we are doing everything ready. But if we don't have your support to feed this web page, this forum for Africa on our web page, it will be an empty web page. So we need your support here to build this component, which is very close to an Africa-based newsletter. It can be considered very, very much similar. So skills in high performance computing. This is, in fact, a difficult technical skills to achieve, but it is very nice that it is commented here. What more do we have? So indigenous knowledge sharing. Okay, that is, I have to confess, particularly challenging for us. First of all, because we don't know this knowledge. And second, because since we don't know it, it's very difficult to make our mind on how to share it and on how this can really enrich our process. So here again, what we will need is your help, because this is why the regional teams exist, to achieve the knowledge of the reality of the different regions of the world that we cannot achieve, because we cannot from Toulouse get knowledge on, for example, this is a very nice example in indigenous knowledge sharing. What more do we have? I will give a couple of minutes more to allow people and finishing the contribution, but I can see again IT skills to support running the models. Like the technical points are, let's say, divided half and half between the, let's say, purely modeling aspects, like data simulation, like tuning the models, and the other half goes for the IT component. So how to use HPC, how to deal with high performance computing. All these IT questions are very demanded. So I think this is both clear. Also, I can see something like mentorship program, which is again a very challenging idea, and it's a very good idea, but certainly a challenging one. But I think that this brings, to be honest, I never have thought about that before, and I think this is an excellent idea. So thank you very much for this, for the person that came with this idea about mentorship program, because it can give us clues on how to elaborate the capacity development program. This is a very, very interesting idea. So thank you very much. So questions start, keep on flowing. Please do so. Don't stop. Sorry, answers keep on flowing. Don't stop writing your answers, but I'm afraid we have to move to next, and I think final question, because time is running. And this is about observations in the region. Do you think we have sufficient observations in the region to constrain the ocean models and produce a correct forecast? If not, what kind of observations are missing? So it's a little bit technical, the question, but you can also go out a little bit out of the box and express your opinion about the observing system I think that the first opinion is absolutely clear. We can see this nice guy with dollars everywhere on the eyes, on the tongue. That means that observing is expensive, and this cost is limiting our observations. It's the same all around the world, but particularly in Africa, it could be particularly dramatic. So we have coastal observation growing up very fast. In situ data, real-time data, coastal observations, biogeochemical observation. I have to say that this is all around the world a limitation. There's very little biogeochemical observation. It is clear that there is a common music behind all these answers, and this common music is basically summarizes in insufficient observing system. So it's clear that you believe that we don't have the observing system that we demand for our activities. That's interesting. Low-cost technologies. This is an important point, because being so expensive to do observations in the sea, the arrival of low-cost technology could be a game changer. So it's a very good point, a very good observation. This arrival of low-cost technologies could help a lot to improve the situation. So we see that we don't have ocean currents, we don't have coastal altimetry, we don't have long-term records. Well, the long-term records are scarce all around the world, and I guess that in Africa they will be particularly scarce. We have a more technical reply, like subsurface, for example, glider observation, which is very, very true and very important. Consistent observation standards. That's very nice, because this is a place where we can also try to play a role, because we will do all these recommendations about tools, standards, and best practices. And we can, together with the program on best practices, advance into that direction, recommending how to share data, recommending how to go for observation standards. Obviously not on the sense that we are going to do standards on how to observe the ocean, because this is way beyond our objective. We are focused on ocean forecasting. But we can certainly be influential on how, talking with the DCC on data sharing, for example, on how the observations are shared, on how the observations are distributed around the globe, and also on collaborating that the people understand that sharing observation is very important. I always like to say that if you want to be selfish with your observation, the best thing you can do is share your observations, because that's the way you will get the most benefit out of it. If you don't share your observations, you are not being selfish enough. The good way of being selfish is sharing your data, so you are influential and you have an impact that will put you on the first line. Then we have a lot of more things popping up very fast. Take your data to the grave. That's another way of expressing it, yeah, about the importance of sharing. Coastal observation, consistent observation standards, in situ coastal ocean observation, biological and ecological observation. So in general, I can see all kinds of observations there. I can see sea level, I can see ocean currents, pollution, a lot of focus on the coastal component. And of course, take your data to the grave is gaining weight, as it could not be in different. And continuous measurement. So that's important one, because one thing is to measure at a given moment, and the other thing is to be able to maintain this observing system for a long period. Really the challenge, and this is linked with another input, which is long-term records. So these two are very much linked together. So I think that now time is over, and I think it's time to thank you for your participation. Maybe you can still type your answers if you are looking forward to that. And maybe if Karim, if you are available, I would like to give you the floor so you can give some final remarks and close the meeting.
Thank you very much, Enrique.
You're muted, Karim.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Enrique, for all this nice organization of the session, mainly session 1 and session 2. And I hope that it is very useful for all the participants to have more information of this program. And I would like to thank again you and your team and the DCC teams for the next step that we want to have. And of course, it's only steps to begin. And it is really very important steps for Africa, as we can see during all the presentation from the panelists. It is very important to put this kind of system prediction for Africa. I would like again to thank all the panelists during all the session, and also to thank all DCC teams. Thank you.
Before finishing, I would like to give the floor to Professor Affian if you want to say a few words. And also, before we finish, it will be great if you can connect your camera so we can make some family pictures. And my final message is that, as you see, we are building this infrastructure. Don't be impatient that we are going to deliver in 20 seconds. This is a long-term endeavor. We are now building, we are building fast, very, very fast. But results will take a little bit of time to start arriving. First, it will be the web page, and then with more time, it will be the capacity development and all the other activities. It will take a little bit of time to develop, and we really count with you for this adventure. So now I would like to give the floor to Professor Affian.
Yeah, thank you very much, Enrique. I would like to sincerely thank the teams who have already done very, very huge job. I think about Jennifer, don't be ashamed, because the picture you show is very accurate. It is very, very active, and I think that it is realistic. We realize that, as well as we have some skills at the south part of Africa and the north part of Africa, a little bit in the east, but western part is very, very lack of, I would say, skill. So it's very accurate what we say. And also to Siva, I think that the platform is very interesting, because everything we're going to do is based on this platform. If people come to the platform and see what is relevant for them, I think that it will be very interesting for us. Because what we are doing is not to hide somewhere, it's to show, so that people can benefit from that. So it is very interesting, this platform, and congratulations for the short time I have already taken. And I learned that by the end of July or September, it will be ready. So congratulations, and go ahead. Thank you very much for everybody, and we are going to work together so that we can achieve our goal. Thank you very much.